Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel and today we're going to talk about the subject of art. I have 4 boys ages 10 to 19 and I just want to go over some of the curriculums and things that ended up being more of an interest led. For the subject, art is a subject that people are naturally drawn to. No pun intended. Or you just make an effort to include it somewhere. We were sort of in the middle. We enjoyed art, we enjoyed drawing, but sometimes we had to make an effort to make sure we included it. Most kids will naturally start drawing things, whether it be a flower or a tree or a house, when they're little and they first start using a pencil. Even before they can write, they will start making circles and drawing. One book that you can start out with, which is probably preschool, first, second, maybe 3rd grade, is Draw and Write Now, which I'll post a couple pictures right here, because in these books, you not only learn to draw, for example, you will also have copy work that has to do with the picture. So you can use it in different ways. Also, as my boys got a little bit older, we would go to the library and use their resources because they have a lot of draw books. Draw horses, draw dogs, draw ships, draw boats. We have a couple that we actually own: ships, trucks, and trains, buildings, and other structures. Now, these are a little bit older. They have some wonderful books that I picked up at the library. If they were interested in like creatures under the sea, or you were studying about that in science, that is a great time to pick up one of those art drawing books. And they have them at very young levels up to older. So I really encourage that. If your children really show an interest in drawing, let them go through the art section in the children's department of the library, because they have a lot of drawing books and a lot of art books. And I didn't take the time to teach. I would just give them the books and they would spend time on it on their own. And that is the wonderful thing about when it's interest-led, is they're going to take the time. And that is one thing about art, is we did really let it be an interest-led subject for our family. Now, I did buy some curriculums and I will share those with you. But I wanted to share how our family used art. Another thing that we used a lot, and it really started out as an interest but ended up being in some of the curriculums we used, and that is Draw and Write Now through history. And they have American history, ancient history. This is Greece and Rome. They have Reformation history. And this is similar. You will learn to draw, and then you will actually have copy work. And this is actually books that are in cursive. But we use these in the curriculum that we have now for Heart of Dakota, and they use these a few times. I think maybe starting in about 4th grade and a little bit through middle school. But these are great supplements just for any history. Okay, I do want to mention that it's not that I didn't want to use a curriculum. It's just not something I wanted to spend a lot of money on. So these were just sort of what I started out with for art. And then, of course, they have some gorgeous curriculums. There's one actually I have on my board over there that I would love for my boys to do, especially my youngest, because he is probably one that would be somewhat interested in art, but it's like $200, and I'm just like, this is my problem. I know what they're interested in, and I know what they'll grasp because they love it, and I'm just not sure if that's going to be worth it. So you need to weigh out those options. Now, if you have a child that just wants to soak in everything about art, I really think it would be worth it. I've talked to moms that have used different arts like that, and their children just progressed. So I think it's great. But for us, we ended up finding these DVDs by Barry Stebbing, and he does have a whole line of art curriculum, and I'm going to mention a few things that we have used by him. And the first thing was the Fundamentals of Beginning Drawing. And these are just some DVDs with short lessons designed for ages 6 and up. And it starts with fundamentals, it has perspective, it has portrait and anatomy, animals, and treasures around the home. So I feel like they learn a lot, especially with the perspective and the colors. And he even talks about what kind of pencils to get. And my oldest really enjoyed these DVDs at his age, which I really wish I could remember exactly, but I want to say 4th grade, maybe 3rd, 4th grade. So, and these are actually still his pencils that he has in some of his drawings that he has saved. He really enjoyed that subject of drawing and art, and my second son was a little bit younger at the time, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about this situation. And I've mentioned it in a video, at least one video, maybe a couple, that he did not like to write. And I have a whole video about what to do with the struggling writer. But I really believe he had dysgraphia, so drawing and coloring were not his favorite thing either. Now, he did do them, but a lot of times he does things because he is a little bit competitive with his older brother. So he did try and do a lot of this, of the art. And maybe it wasn't his thing and he didn't carry on with loving to draw, but I think he learned some things. And I'm going to talk about that at the end of the video. Now, I did purchase him the next year, and I'll link it right here because I don't have it anymore, which was a curriculum by Barry Stebbing, which was just a younger book for like ages 4 to 8, and it was Joseph. He actually did pretty well with this book, and I didn't realize this, but this story is unique because it's based on a true story from the Stebbing farm, which I'm not overly familiar with, but it also includes biblical references. So he actually used it. I really think it stretched him at that young age, so he really enjoyed that. Now, another book from Barry Stebbing that I will post right here was one on drawing horses that my oldest loved. He actually would get the drawing books from the library, and he loved to draw animals, but he really got into drawing horses, and he did pretty good, really. And then he went on to planes and all kinds of other things like that. But we purchased this book for him, and it was beneficial to him. Now, later on, you know, I have 4 boys. They have watched this also. The beginning drawing, and also there was an intermediate one that I got a little bit later and went through. It's similar, but up at a level. So they went through this also, and it also has the fundamentals, the perspective, treasures around the house, depth, nature studies, and landscape. So this one was really good too. And just doing something like this as an introduction to your children about art and drawing, it's not costly. I want to say I probably paid more for what it is now, but I want to say it's $28. I'll link most of what I can find below for you if you're interested. But most of it you can find at How Great Thou Art, which is the company Barry Stebbing has for his art curriculum. Okay, so my oldest still has an artistic mind. He loves carpentry, measuring, designing. He can sketch something out, like if I have an idea for something, which is helpful in that kind of trade. But my second son, now in 6th grade, I am going to tell you what my middle schoolers did. In 6th grade, he actually took a photography class. And my oldest did take an art class. Both of them were at a co-op. The art class was really a drawing and painting one. It was more of a, like, creating things, building things, using different materials. And he actually probably enjoyed that more. So that worked well for him. But my 6th grader at the time took photography. I wasn't really sure what to think. I don't even know how much we were really into it. We did not even have a DSLR camera. I had a pretty nice camera that I let him use for the class, but he soaked it all in. He was able to understand everything she was teaching about aperture, ISO, shutter speed, lighting, all these things, and understanding how to use the camera and all those little symbols and what they mean, to the point of like, okay, now that you got it figured out, can you show me how to use my camera? So he really did well with the class, and by the end of the class, he was like, Mom, I want to save up my money to buy a DSLR. And he did. It took him almost 2 years, but he did, and he bought his first DSLR, and he took off with that. He loved photography. Now, he liked more of the nature. He did a lot of animals. He would spend a lot of time outside. He actually did a lot of birds at the time. Went through a stage of that, learning about all the birds, learning all their sounds and which one was which. And he actually was able to get a really good picture of one that was put in a very small magazine, nothing that probably anybody's heard of, but he wrote a little bit article for it. So I feel like that beginning of just maybe watching those videos and how Mr. Stebbing explained depth and perception, and you never know how far small things like that and will take somebody. So my struggling writer, who would not probably draw, paint, ended up more in the art of photography and videography. He actually loves to do videos, and he also does a great job at editing. I want you to keep in mind that art can look different for different people. So they can still have an artistic mind, it's just in a different way. All right, I think that is actually all I have today for art. My third one, they've all actually played the piano, but my third one is still playing the piano. My youngest right now has watched the beginning drawing DVDs. He is more into drawing ships and planes. The curriculum that we are doing, and I will share our journey through that this fall and spring, is supposed to have an art and poetry. And I'm hoping that that will all come together because I'd like to learn a little bit more about that. So I hope this was a little bit helpful, and I appreciate you all watching. If you like these type of videos about curriculum or all things homeschool, please subscribe, hit that like button, that would encourage me, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you.